Our second reading this morning comes from the third chapter of Paul's letter to the Colossians. Colossians is just 4 chapters long, as you see. It's about a 12-minute, 15-minute read if you just sit and read it. It's good to get the full context of the letter as we pick out about half a chapter to read. This comes as he is writing to the church, as he wrote to a lot of New Testament churches about how to live now in this new way, and that's the theme of it, this new way of Christ. What does that look like? What does that feel like? How do you act? And as we approach still our liturgy of the ordinary, our day-to-day lives, that is also for us too. So as we turn to Colossians 3, 1 through 17, let us turn to God in prayer. Gracious God, Creator God, moving Spirit, move upon our hearts at this time. Open our hearts wide to receive your word, your will for our lives this day. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. So listen, church, as if you were the church then, you are the church now. Paul says it's titled Rules for Holy Living. Since then, you have been raised with Christ. Set your hearts on things above, where Christ is seated at the right hand of God. Set your minds on things above, not on earthly things. For you died, and your life is now hidden with Christ in God. When Christ, who is your life, appears, then you also will appear with him in glory. Put to death, therefore, whatever belongs to your earthly nature: sexual immorality, impurity, lust, evil desires, and greed, which is idolatry. Because of these, the wrath of God is coming. You used to walk in these ways in the life you once lived. But now you must rid yourself of all such things as these. The list goes on: anger, rage, malice, slander, filthy language from your lips. Do not lie to each other, since you have taken off your old self with its practices, and have put on the new self, which is being renewed in knowledge in the image of its Creator. Here there is no Greek or Jew, circumcised or uncircumcised, barbarian, Scythian, slave or free, but Christ is all and is in all. Therefore, as God's chosen people, holy and dearly loved, clothe yourselves with compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience. Bear with each other and forgive whatever grievances you may have against one another. Forgive as the Lord forgave you. And over all these virtues, put on love, which binds them all together in perfect unity. Let the peace of Christ rule in your hearts, since as members of one body you were called to peace. Be thankful. Let the word of Christ dwell in you richly as you teach and admonish one another with all wisdom, and as you sing songs and hymns and spiritual songs with gratitude in your hearts to God. And whatever you do, whether in word or deed, do it all in the name of the Lord Jesus, giving thanks to God the Father through him. This is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. Well, so here we are. There you are in the liturgy. You have woken up, right? From the deep, or maybe the shallow, sleeping world that you were out of consciousness. Now, ready or not, alarm clock or not, sun or not, you awaken the new day. A week ago, we began our journey of finding liturgy in the ordinary. That liturgy of the ordinary begins simply and profoundly both by waking up. Step one for every one of us in facing a new day. In our ordinary liturgy, we are reminded that before we wake up, in that deep sleep, God's grace is already abound, and it is already for you, yeah, ordinary you. We do not awaken so that we might then earn God's love another day. No, that's not what we do. Rather, grace and love are what awaken us and empower us then and lead us out. They are abundantly present and they lead us through the day. Whether you realize that or not, that's true. We were reminded of this most fully through Jesus a week ago in his own baptism. That Jesus did not earn God's announcement of belovedness through action or deed. It was not after some miraculous thing. Rather, it was at his baptism on the silty shore of the Jordan among the crowds is where he had it. Jesus hadn't healed anyone, but he was beloved. Jesus was first, before all else, beloved, just like you and I are. Can you believe that? So then he might then set out and minister to the world and the crowds, just like you and I. Can you believe that? Jesus is empowered by the belovedness of God. So it would be good practice to wake up in the morning and give thanks for that first thing. And now you are awake. You know you're beloved. What shall we do next? Well, that varies, doesn't it? We all have a different morning routine, don't we? Are you able to take a moment now, and are you able to, in your mind, process what your morning routine is on a given day? Are you able to do that? Now that is kind of, I found there's two routines. There's the routine at home that everyone does before you start the new routine of whatever you have to do that day. If you're a worker like me, it's that schedule that you get into. If you're retired, it's what you have that day. If you're a mom or dad, it's the child care. Can you walk through your daily morning routine in your mind? Well, I have found, very informally, that herein lies, in this routine, the great divide of many people in the universality of waking up, and it was proven again in Sunday school. I was right. I always like that leading into the sermon. So a crucial question is coming right now, and you already know what it is. I know you know it if you looked at the title. Is making the bed a part of your morning routine? Yeah, I heard a whisper yes. I don't know what that was. Now, if we peeked in your bedroom right now, would there be a made bed awaiting us or not? Would it be thrown up, kind of, you know, like a, yeah? Would they be pulled up? We talked this morning, would the decorative pillows be on there? Or do you not really know where they are, like on my bed? The author of the book, Tish Harrison Warren, tells this entertaining story in the second chapter about her research that she went on to about finding out about who makes beds or not. Now, here's a little background for her. You need to understand. Because she was once, for many years in her adult life, not a bed maker. She also assumed that a whole lot of other adults were not bed makers along with her. Because she thought, right, that one of the perks, really, of adulthood is that you don't have to make your bed anymore. No one is forcing you to make your bed, check on you. So why would you? You just get in it at the end of the night anyway and mess it all up again. And I can relate to that. I remember standing up here one time and talking about my morning routine when I was a child, right? My mom and dad would go to work early, and on school days, a lot of times it was my grandma who'd wake me up. Do you remember this? Her alarm clock for me would be just busting the door open and turning the light switch on. The first thing we did then, the first thing we did when I rolled out of bed, stumbled out of bed, you know it, was make that bed. We made it tight. We did the thing where you do the comforter under the pillows, hold it down. It was tight. So for a while in my life, I said, no, this is not for me anymore. I've been there, done that. Well, it turns out a lot of adults do make beds, right? Many of you make your bed, but I know not all of you do. We've covered this. You probably have different individual reasons, I bet, if I were to ask you why you make your bed in the morning. So here's what she writes about what she found in her research on the matter about making beds. Here's what she wrote. She wrote, some made it daily. First thing, zealously. Some never made it. Some thought it was preposterous to even consider making it, while others thought not making the bed was akin to not brushing your teeth or not paying your taxes. Something meriting disgust, if not jail time. Many made their bed erratically, maybe 3 days out of the week. A shocking number made their bed at night. Some promised me that bed making would change my life, that I would be more successful, happy, and productive with a made bed. Now there's something to that. In 2014, Admiral William McRaven gave a graduation speech at the University of Texas, in which he said this, and some of you might have seen it, it went viral. He said, if you want to change the world, this is an admiral, start off by making your bed. If you make your bed every morning, you will have accomplished the first task of the day. It will give you a small sense of pride, and it will encourage you to do another task, and another, and another. By the end of the day, that one task completed will have turned into many tasks completed. Making your bed will also reinforce the fact that little things in life matter. If you can't do the little things right, you'll never be able to do the big things right. If by chance you have a miserable day, you will come home to a bed that's made, that you made. And a made bed gives you encouragement that tomorrow will be better. Words from the Adam makes sense to me. So, there you go. Make your bed, change the world. Thanks be to God. Amen. It's that easy. Let's eat chili. No, we have to go deeper. We have to go deeper still. Deeper to find meaning. Deeper to open our eyes to the real presence of God there. Deeper because this is about more than just making your bed and changing the world. That is not quite how it works, I don't think. This is more about today, the daily liturgy, ritual, and what forms a life. 1 week ago, we talked about what forms a lifetime, day after day after day. Today we rediscover what forms a day. Not a lifetime of days, one day. What forms it? And there's an answer. 2 things. Habit and ritual. Because whether you claim it or not, our habits are some of the most powerful drivers in what we actually do in our day. In 2006, a Duke University study found that more than 40%, that's almost half, right, of the things that we do, the decisions that we make in a day are actually not decisions at all. They are the result of our habits. 40%. It is a condition of the human mind, habit. Not bad or sinful by nature, but autopilot can become less than living, as I will explain. Our brains, minds, yours, mine, all of them, knows what gives them pleasure or reward. Our minds crave it, pleasure and reward. So they develop this automatic and thoughtless habit to obtain these things. And they get really good at it and doing it quickly. Pleasure and reward. There's this thing called the habit loop. A cue. Something triggers us. And then there's a routine. We go through the routine, the action taken to get to the reward. Cue, routine, reward. Cue, routine, reward. Cue, routine, reward. All day long. The habitual mind is a powerful thing. Now, automatic routine fits in there too with habit. Do you make your bed? Routine. Sometimes I found, though, in the routine, this other stuff sneaks in too. If you were able to name it when I asked you to remember to talk about what you did this morning, think about it, I'm sure you would hit all the touchstones of your morning. I have no doubt. Here's mine. You ready? I woke up. I squirted contact solution in my eyes, which I do every morning, first thing. I went downstairs and I let the dog out. I grabbed a cup of coffee that was set to go, right? Because I set it before I go to bed. I let the dog in. I went to the bathroom. I hopped in the shower, deodorant, hair, get dressed, made the bed. Ate breakfast, brushed teeth, out the door. Sounds about right, right? Now think back again to that morning ritual of yours. Now think about it specifically. Think of it as if you were observing yourself, watching yourself go through it, taking notes. Did you miss anything that you did this morning? Now Tish Warren, this is her story, discovered in her bed-making journey that there was something that had become a routine and habit that she needed to identify and change. You see, she made a Lenten exercise out of making the bed. That's how this started. During Lent, those 40 days, a non-bed maker said, I am making it as an exercise. But before she did that, she had to admit to what did not make that list and her list of the morning routine. And then it found its way throughout the day. And that was this. Wake up. Where's your alarm? Well, hers and mine are on our iPhone. Wake up. Check the phone. What did I miss? You go down, you have breakfast, but I know I can't leave it upstairs because I might miss something. So I put it in my pocket. I carry it downstairs. When I'm pouring milk, I'm doing my other coffee, check it again. What did I miss? Out the door into the car, another quick check before I drive 3 minutes up to work, you know. My mind rewarded. Cue, routine, reward. Cue, routine, reward. Now I know I don't speak to all of you. We've talked about technology. I know I don't speak to all of you, but I know that I speak to some of you when I talk about technology, the habit of the smartphone. If we honestly consider our routines and habits, we must consider, whether it's smartphone or not, must consider our consumption. And it doesn't just take the form of social media. These smartphone people aren't just on Facebook. It's news. It's the news junkies that have to see if they missed anything in the world. It's email. What email did I get in the last 7 minutes that I didn't have before, right? It's a lot of things that we consume. And it's not just phones either. Your mind is individual and specific. God created specific through your culture. Habits take on many different forms. Not all are bad. We talked about that. Some are great, and that's the goal. Some need to be changed. And change is hard. But change can be so good and so life-giving. The hard truth I've found as a Christian is that we are set out to live a different way. We must consider what that means each day to live differently in the midst of this habit-driven day of ours. And remember, when nearly half of what we do in a day is habit, we must enter into the practice of exploring and considering our habits through the lens of our faith. As we begin that challenging task, let us begin by remembering first that God knows us and knows us deeply. That is where we start. That's what Psalm 139 tells us, which I heard in a new way today as it was read at a King James Version. I heard it anew. God already knows the honest you. God already knows you. God intricately wrought you, as it says. Don't let that fear you, that someone, something knows you so deeply and intimately that you can't hide or lie. Don't let that fear you. God already knows about your questionable or your downright destructible habits. God knows. God knows you fully. When you lie down and when you sit up, God knows. God knew you deeply and fully before you were ever born. God knows you. And God knows something else too. God knows you can change. God has been changing lives since, well, forever. And if you think your life is an exception to that, that is not true. Your bad habit is not unbreakable. So when we get down to the business of examining these habits, Colossians 3 is this great motivational guide and reminder for us. Colossians 3 provides the framework for a new life made up of daily habits, one that is centered on life, not of earthly things, Paul says, but on what is above, on Christ. Paul asks that in your daily life, church, that you put to death those things that take life away, as good as they may feel, as rewarding they are to your mind. Rid yourselves of the negativity, you could say. Changing habits is possible, absolutely possible. There's a methodology to changing habits. I shared some of that this morning in Sunday school. Changing habits is godly work, described fully and beautifully by Paul here. Paul says, imagine it. Literally take this. You have taken off your old self with its practices, and you have put on a new self, which is being renewed in knowledge in the image of its creator. It really is okay, Jeff. It does not bother me one bit. Changing a habit is like taking off an old garment and putting on a new one. I am thankful that we today celebrate the sacrament of baptism. Right, Josephine? Yes. What better sign of God's ability to begin something fresh and new than to participate in a baptism, to witness baptism. So let us all who have been baptized in the faith remember our own with joy, being reminded that new habits and rituals, they can be right around the corner. Let us consider our routines, those things that add up to make a day. Let us examine and work on our daily routines, our holy routine. Let us remember we have as our guide a God who gets it, a God who when Jesus woke up, went to the bathroom, washed himself, took naps, took walks, secluded himself to pray. Let us be reminded again of the regeneration of baptism. Let us remember our own and be thankful. Next week, Liturgy of the Ordinary. Next week, brushing our teeth. Thanks be to God. Amen. All right. As we respond, I can't actually believe this hasn't happened before. Let us respond by taking up, gathering our gifts and our offerings. That is an opportunity for us to do that and to share whatever prayers we might have this morning.